everybody. I'd like to call to order the town board meeting for March 12th, 2025 at roughly 6:30 p.m. As always, we are here in person as well as broadcasting remotely with Zoom. If you're interested in joining us via Zoom, you can find the instructions to join at the top of each of our agendas. And we're also streaming to YouTube and to Facebook as well. And with that, I would ask Councilor Italiano to lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So I have the open podium sign up, and it looks like everyone's here for the public hearing. So I would just ask, for all those comments, we'll say that till we open the public hearing. Is there anyone else here with a different open podium comment for something that's not the sidewalks? Okay, anybody here in the Zoom audience? If so, please use the raise hand function. We'll give you a minute to do that.
Just the way the audio is, microphones might have a hard time with the audio.
Okay.
So let's try to approach.
Yeah. Okay, so with that, first order of business on the agenda is the Enders Road public hearing.
I'll make a motion to waive the reading. Recommend.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Make a motion to open the public hearing. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. So with that, anyone in the first row here to speak at the public hearing? Anyone in the second row here to speak at the public hearing? Anyone in the third row here to speak at the public hearing? Okay, so let's go from my right to my left. So we'll start with you. Let's come on up. 3 minutes.
State your name and your address.
Hi, I'm Jameson. I'm in fourth grade, and sometimes in the morning I go to Enders Road to get to school. I think we should have sidewalks because there's a lower chance I could get hit by a car. We don't have to ride or walk our bikes on the edge of the road, and we could take the bridge without our bikes falling down because of the grass.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, next up. Yeah, go for it.
Hi, I'm Leo. I usually walk with my friends to Enders sometimes, and we need sidewalks because we have a higher chance of not getting hit by a car. The second reason is we don't have to ride on a busy road. The last reason is when I am in high school, I can safely walk to and from school.
Thank you very much. Okay, next up.
Hi, I'm Patty, and I'm in third grade. I think there should be sidewalks. So when I'm in middle school or high school, I can walk there safely.
Thank you very much. And then anyone in the last row? Come on up. And then if there is anybody in Zoom attendance, please use the raise hand function and we'll have you come up next.
Hi, I'm Ben. I'm a student at Eagle Hill Middle School, and I'm someone who walks on Enders Road a lot. I usually have to walk on snow or mud to get to where I'm going. I walk up from the high school when I did cross country. I walk to the gas station for some snacks sometimes, and my parents are always talking to me about being safe on the road and watch where I'm going. When I did cross country, sometimes the bus didn't come, so me and my entire team had to walk up the road, and the road is always busy after school. When I walk up the road, sometimes a super big truck, it passes me and it feels way too close to me. And I would really appreciate it if the town consideration, I really appreciate the town's consideration to the sidewalks on Enders Road.
very much. Okay. One last call for anybody with comments. Anybody joining us via Zoom? Well,
Good evening. Mark Browning, live off Prestwick Drive there at 8306. Obviously for sidewalks and the safety that those would bring after living in our property for 7 years. I've seen a number of incidents that have been, we've been lucky with. And so I think the current model of essentially Swiss cheese, no mishap that we're, living off of is we can do better with. So for the sidewalk district in the consideration of that.
Thank you.
then I will just share any of the letters we received, the folks that didn't want to make their comment or just couldn't make it. They're all on the agenda now, so all of those letters are available to everybody, so you can see all the feedback that we've received.
I got one.
Yep.
So I was asked to share this tonight. My name is Josie and I'm in second grade at Enders Road. I want sidewalks so people can walk down from houses and be safe, and so we don't have to drive.
That looks like-
You're very small for a second.
I know, right? I'm back in time.
It looks like we just got one person on Zoom.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Haas. My address is 4742 Enders Road. And I wanted to mention that as one of the neighbors who has their property potentially impacted by the sidewalk, we are so vociferously in favor of the sidewalks. I happen to be an FM grad, and you hear the lore of how long folks have been talking about sidewalks and how badly we need them. I think everybody would agree that we need them. I do hear comments. I did happen to canvass with Mrs. Browning as we were talking with our neighbors. I think there's a lot of questions about how to make them happen. Frankly, we feel strongly about it. Many of our neighbors feel very strongly in support of sidewalks. Many of us have walked the roads, our kids walk the roads. And I feel as though really 20 years ago, folks were willing to have this conversation, make this investment. We would not continue to keep kicking the can to the next generation and just continue to shake our heads and say, oh, what a shame. That's so dangerous. So I will say, not only do I support the sidewalks, but I support however we get the sidewalks. I recognize that that may come, with some drawbacks and sacrifice for our family. But again, myself and the vast majority of our neighbors who are actually talking about our property being impacted are very much in favor of the sidewalks. And I would ask our neighbors who, there are some expenses to supporting our community to consider if those of us who are willing to essentially forfeit a portion of our property to ensure our children are safe are willing to do that and are in support of the sidewalks, that we would find a way to stop saying, yes, absolutely, it's dangerous, it's unsafe, our kids are in jeopardy, but it's always the but that keeps us from doing the right thing for the kids. So again, not just myself, but certainly including ourselves. We're right here, less than a tenth of a mile from the school. We anticipate our property may be impacted, and we're very happy to have that be the case, as are many others.
Thank you very much.
Jessica, you inspired me to speak. My name is Christina Mosier. I'm also in the area that's impacted by this initiative. I live on Glen Eagle Drive. And I am a frequent walker and runner and have attempted to walk and run along Enders, and unfortunately it's just not safe. Even if you try to stay along the side, it's quite dangerous. And especially as we see more, there's neighborhoods that are going up, there's going to be more traffic going through there. I think it's very important for us to consider this investment. And I know, yes, our taxes have gone up quite a bit. I do still think, the reason why we're in this community is we like to be able to walk our dogs, walk with our kids, walk ourselves, and I'm willing to make the investment on behalf of the future.
Okay, one last call for comments.
So I would like to state that we have received some opposition to this from some residents who are concerned about the way the lines were drawn. And also just in general, as you mentioned, just it's gonna cost somebody some kind of money someday. So I think it's important that we recognize that this forming the district is the first part of a process. Other steps cannot happen unless the district exists. And so it's not to say that we could never accommodate some of the comments that people have made or adjust the amount of money that families that live in the district may have to pay. All of those things are possible to change down the road. We have the map plan and report gives us an estimate. It's not a guarantee that it will be exactly that dollar amount, it's an estimate. And we can continue to work with neighbors to make sure that we accommodate as many diverse views as possible. And at the same time, the vast majority of neighbors want this. And so we want to make sure we don't let a few people stymie the efforts of a large number who are very supportive. So we're not saying it's going to be exactly this way forever. And at the same time, we want to move forward so that we can at least have a conversation about what else to do, which we can't do unless the district is clear.
Thank you for clarifying that, Councilor Bollinger. I'm glad to hear you say that. I wanted it to be very clear at the end of the public hearing tonight that the only action in front of this board tonight is to approve the creation of the district. And as far as actual costs and funding diversity down the road, it's still, as Councilor Bollinger just explained, it's still open to evolution.
Thank you. Motion to close the public hearing? Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. So with that, would you kind of just tell us a little bit about the resolution we're passing?
Sure. So the resolution before the board does a few things tonight. First and foremost, this is an action that is reviewable by seeker, under seeker, State Environmental Quality Review Act. So we are going to be designating the action as an unlisted action and making a finding that the formation of the district itself does not create a significant environmental impact. We're also going to be making a finding within this resolution that the notices given was sufficient under New York State law for formation of the district, and also that the formation of the district is in the public interest. We've had 2 public hearings now to hear about that, so I definitely believe there's sufficient basis to make that finding. And finally, and also is reiterating that this resolution is subject to permissive referendum. So there will be a notice published after the meeting, essentially stating that, and it's going to be forced to a vote. But yeah, that's essentially the resolution. If there's any questions, feel free to ask me now.
And I will just say too, if there are folks out there that are interested in taking this permissive referendum, you can reach out. You can explain that process. It requires a number of signatures to be collected, but that is part of this process. So if folks are interested, please do reach out. We'll let you know what that process looks like.
So it's actually built into the resolution.
perfect.
So frankly, somebody can make a motion to adopt the resolution as presented.
Already happened to. I'd like to make a motion to adopt the resolution in order approving the formation of Enders Road Sidewalk District. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion passes. So, as with most things we do at these board meetings, despite this feeling like the end, this is the beginning. I'll remind ourselves that. The gears turn very slowly, but we are moving in the right direction. We've created the district. And as Deputy Supervisor Bollinger mentioned, there's been many conversations about funding, about which side of the road the sidewalk finally goes on. All those things are going to get worked out. We're going to ensure that there's as much public involvement in that. I want to thank our organizers who made sure that this happened and are still excited to help us inform the public as this process continues to move on. But I will say again, thank you to former Councilor Denton for coming up with the idea of the sidewalk program. and seeing this first one through. I will say, I don't know if anyone else has had it, I've had a number of residents reach out, and they're very curious as to what this process looks like. So I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes somewhat normal business. This is a great first step, and we're excited to see how this goes. Because there's still a lot of questions to answer, but we are ready and willing to do that work, so thank you, everybody. So next up on the agenda.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming, all of you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the participation very much.
So I did a little bit.
Bye, guys. Have a good one.
We can throw it in the middle of the table.
Supervisor Deere, members of the board, good evening. Tom Flutris, Planning and Development 2024 annual report. So this is just an overview of the report. Revenue, inspections, complaints, 2024 objectives, and review based on last year, and then what our goals are for this year moving forward. Before we get into revenue, I would like kind of preference this. There are a lot of things that the Planning and Development Office does that does not bring in revenue. We are of a service to the town between talking with applicants that don't submit permits to try and give them the path of least resistance for development, working with that applicants for zoning, the planning board, complaints, following up on complaint inspections, going to court with items such as that. We are looking at alternative ways for revenue for fire safety inspections. We already did the permit review. Thank you for that, which allowed this year, which we'll see that differed to allow us to bring in revenue versus the previous years. So you can see 2020, 2021, 2022, very similar to what we had last year. 2023 was kind of the anomaly with the large solar projects that we had come in that produced a lot of revenue for the town. In this report, what you'll see is we had, per the clerks, we had 107 come in, but due to reporting, a $30,000 project was put on to this year. So for the comptroller, we're at 76. $40,000 of that 76 came in from two of the large commercial projects, 13,000 from new single family home. So what we're looking at is kind of this, we'll see this very similar, which is the average, that green mark within the town for your decks, your pools, your commercial alterations, and then the projected revenue you had. I've kind of outlined some of our larger projects, which are going to see these spikes. And when we see these spikes, we might see them for 1 year. We might have two projects in another year, which will get an even larger spike. But those projects can last anywhere from 1 to 3, 4 years, where we're paying myself and John, the other code enforcement officer, to go out and not only do compliance for the building, but compliance with the site for DEC, our SWIPs, any complaints associated with that can interfere with traffic, dirt on the roads, things of that nature, which we'd be having the developer clean up. So we are looking at, kind of our single family home subdivision lands that's easily buildable for our new homes is decreasing. I know we're looking at zoning to allow for alternatives for that, and that developers are always becoming more clever with how they can put houses in the town. Does anybody have any questions about this revenue? So building permits, 206 building permits issued, 1,096 building permit inspections. And one of the things you'll see here is in 2023, we had 1,203 building permit inspections. The 206 is the pre-permit inspections to ensure compliance before a shovel hits the ground. We're making sure that everything's going to move forward appropriately. But 207 failed issues noted or not completed inspections versus 301 in 2023. A lot of that I attribute to our follow-ups with the contractors, providing better documentation and better pre-inspections that we were doing with them. But we are very much on path. The 100 failed inspections that we removed from us directly correlates to the number of inspections. So we very much have a very similar number of inspections we're doing throughout the year. But the more failed inspections we have, the higher that number gets, because then we have a follow-up that we have to pass. But that also, in previous years when we weren't doing as much record keeping for final mechanical, reviewing the HVAC, it was all kind of under this one umbrella. We have a lot more detailed reporting. So when someone says, I need the HVAC inspection, I need the sprinkler inspection, I need these, we have them all in detailed reports for all these inspections.
And some of those details, so fire suppression or, electrical. To which things do you like sub out to somebody else to do some of it?
Electrical and plumbing are all done by third party. Onondaga County does all the plumbing, and all of our electrical inspections are done by approved third party agencies that the
And
town.
you just report the document.
Yes, so those are not reflected in here. We do have numbers from them because we upload every one of them. We receive their reports for completions that they do. So we break it out between the 5 inspectors. So if I wanted to create a report to say how many did inspector A do, I'd be able to see how many they
But these are
did.
the ones that our team.
This is just us.
Okay.
So one of the items that I was talking about for revenue is our fire safety inspections. We've recently subbed out to Fayetteville, who's doing a phenomenal job so far with that. And that is kind of the long term for, if I'm not here, we're making sure that the town, the people in the town are safe, and that the town is going to be able to show compliance with New York State. So we're working with that and working with all the fire departments to ensure that their people, when they're going into buildings, know what's there, are familiar with them, and how we can work through. We've started with the LID program, which is showing decreasing our time for reviewing sprinklers, reviewing when alarms go into trouble mode. We don't have to go back and re-inspect them. We get reports sent to us, we can log onto our computer, approve them, and close it out without having to go on site and inspect. But with that, we did 286 versus the 206 from last year. Again, you'll see the number that we tried. The goal is to first inspection passed, which is something that we started last year, so we track how many we passed. Right on the first try, 161, 71 failed, 52 passed on the reinspection, and then you'll see the reinspection, the 52, those went back. We had a property that failed twice on the reinspection, we had to go back again and pass that. So the goal is that first inspection passed, but also we want to ensure life safety for whether it be someone living in an apartment complex or whenever you're walking into a building to make sure that fire alarm is going to activate. This is Live, the new system we've done. This is a very brief, I did this, we implemented it February 15th. So I took this a week ago. You'll see it talks about reports, compliance, non-compliance, accepted, rejected. I know this isn't the best, but this is our current today, and you'll see how this graph and these, where it goes from, rejected, non-compliance, corrected items. But this is the new analytics we're getting to show at 2026. I'll be able to say, we had this many deficiencies throughout the town, we corrected this many, these are still the ones that have to be done, and moving forward, we'll have a lot better.
Just for people watching, could you just tell us what each color means, because we can't read that tiny.
At the very top, well, this is, we're maybe 15 days in, and we weren't getting the reports from the third party companies. So your fire alarm, your sprinkler, they will all be submitting reports that we won't have to go and, yes, and we won't have to go and flip through the book to say, because when a company gets the report, just because they got a fire alarm or sprinkler report does not mean that it passed. Just means that someone inspected it. So now with that report, we'll be able to see that they had deficiencies, and then that we don't have to leave our office to do follow-ups with this. And it's a benefit also to the property owner, because if in Minnesota or somewhere outside, they can easily be notified, hey, there's deficiencies, they can start the work orders through their process. But the top is all reports accepted, compliance, so at the very top, all reports accepted, compliance, and then non-compliance is green, and then ones that we have as rejected. And those are just ones that, if they're outside the town or incorrect forms. But one of the things I would like to show is, and this is kind of the new page where we have deficiencies, resolved, pending, accepted, rejected. But one of the things that, and you can't quite see it that easily, is we had the Northeast Medical Center, which is a very large complex. The gentleman there who was not thrilled about doing it first, he was 70 years old. I'm not going on the computer and doing this. Uploaded his time to fill the report was 4 minutes and 30 seconds. So it's not a very complex process. It's getting, and Liv is willing to train these companies to input it, but this is a huge time saver for the town. And it's a huge benefit, not only for the people that we're protecting, but I see it as also for the companies that own these properties, that they're notified immediately of them. Complete inspections. Our biggest ones are obviously the tall grass that we deal with and our property maintenance. The other one that we had, which was a new one, was FD and TMPD calls. So whenever the fire department or Town of Manlius Police calls us, we're arriving to that property and going through whatever violations or potential code compliance issues there may be. There's 29 of those, 30 of the property maintenance, and there's 32 tall grass, but it goes from everything from chickens and small animals, grading and filling. A big one that we did was there's 5 days that I went out and did sign removals on the posts. We'll be able to better track that now, even than just doing it by days and doing locations that we've cleared. So when people call and they say, we want this intersection cleared, we'll say, we did it on this date. And when they go back up, we'll be able to address that again. But that inspection process, just detailing that even more for the residents that do have concerns. But there's a lot that we do here in the complaints, not bringing in revenue, but for the benefit of the town and the residents.
How many chicken complaints have you?
4. But that does not. So I think a lot of people have neighbors that understand the chicken code, or that if you have them, you've already called and been informed about it and know your limitations for what you're able to do. Again, a lot of those are when there's roosters involved, but there's nothing that prohibits roosters. We can take a look at that, but most of the time that's what we're getting. Very few times do we get calls, because a lot of the times if it's a neighbor calling that is, my neighbor's chicken flew over the yard this one time, okay, we gotta see it, and then there's this whole process, and when we explain it to them, the very formalized complaint is when we go through that process of just not talking with them about what we would need to do for an action. So that is when we're actually filling out a complaint.
When you write your autobiography, Tom, is it going to be titled The Chicken Code?
And small animals.
And small animals, like you didn't tell us. I will write the forward for that. Sorry. A lot of people have rabbits too.
That's the small animals part.
Yeah, including rabbits and Brussels nuts.
We do have people that, you're getting to the northern part of town where people do have goats, they do have horses, they do have other farm animals, but farming is an outright allowed use out there, so there's nothing that we can do about pigs or horses or things of that nature. So a lot of times when we have those conversations with people, these are just conversations we're having. We're not formalizing it into a complaint action and moving forward in that nature.
Thank you.
Gotta move this over here. So 2024 objectives and the results, GIS implementation, finalizing that. I was just on a meeting today with Labella and our GIS for all of our MS4. We have all of our current and previous places that need either ongoing construction for our MS4, which means they have a retention basin, a pond, or something that needs continual review or maintenance. Records management, we're still working on the scanning project with the town clerk. What that does is expedite us in retaining records for people. There's a lot of people looking for surveys, looking for old building plans, looking for, I had a variance application in 1980, or I need site plans for an existing commercial lot. Where can we get those? Building permit approval process, revise the forms to help obtain permits. I think you can see with that, when we have those inspections, the failures that are decreasing, it's the permits that we have for the decks, for the alterations, and alerting people that these are going to be the requirements when you move forward with building to make sure that they move forward as successfully as possible. Inspection tracking, continued review. You can see that with how we're breaking down everything that we're doing to try and be as transparent and directed as we can with all the inspections that we're doing. Operating procedures and closing permits. We hired John here, and that's been going great. We've been moving forward with a lot of the processes and review for our current projects and what we're going to be doing for items moving forward in the town, commercial projects, residential, all of those items will be able to be addressed by John, and then with oversight from myself. And with that, it will allow me to take on some of these. We'll be able to continue to create this framework that allows people to have an easier time moving through the town with the Planning and Development Office. Accountability for LLC violations and just violations in general. I've been working with Joe. We've had a lot of things that we move forward. There will be things that we're going to be putting forth before the town for general property maintenance, vacants. It's just making sure that we do this in the most efficient and appropriate manner so that we're not doing anything extra and we're not kind of pinholing ourselves so we can't do what we really need to accomplish with the local laws. Objectives for 2025, the top two, I kind of put those right there. Continue development with LID for fire safety and work with building safety inspector and fire department to ensure life safety. Number one thing here for me, I want to make sure the men and women of the fire departments and anybody here in the town goes home safely or arrives home to a safe home. So that is the number one thing for our department. Further development of the GSI, that goes into the MS4 and compliance. The GSI is a tool that we will be able to use and will have here at the town to become self-sufficient and ensure that we can show compliance for the DEC, the EPA, if they ever came. I didn't want to get into that, but if they ever come knocking at our door, hey, here's everything that we need for compliance to show you that we are doing our part. And that kind of goes into reviewing the processes. We're still doing all of that these are all kind of rolled in together with the GIS, our review, the rewriting of our plans and procedures. As I said before, I've worked with Joe and continue working with him for all of our court procedures and items that will make it easier for us to enforce violation corrections in the future. And with Jay here and myself, increase accessibility and permitting and inspection compliance for developers. That will be on our end, but also making sure that with the town clerk, they have the tools to interact with our department. We have the tools to interact with them to ensure that they can move forward, residents can move forward as efficiently as possible. That is it. Any questions for myself?
I already asked all my questions.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to see how the not only live, but also kind of digging deeper into IBS is gonna help you report better. And I will say thank you very much. There's a couple people who give me calls about the signs on utility poles. And I am very excited to be able to show them that we actually have data to show the importance.
We've done our due diligence. I did it very intensely last year where I was calling the companies. I had a lot of companies push back. That's when I asked you, the board, for the resolution. I tell them this, they say, go ahead and remove it. And it's a back and forth because I tell them not to do it. They go and do it in another part of town, or for them, it's a $5 sign and they go and stick one up anyways. And we're just kind of fighting them to ensure that they don't. We've talked about, posting signs that say, don't post a sign here, but then we have a sign that. So we're working through kind of some of these operating procedures, but again, education for those contractors is number one. We will be there, now that we have the ability to do it in a safe manner, we will be there every week, every
Well,
other
then
week, and
maybe
just keep
something-
removing your signs.
We talk about communication, maybe we put something in newsletter, in town Manlius, it's not legal to put signs on other, and do some just social media and stuff like that, just to make the contractors aware. It's kind of spring is when a lot of these things go up, and maybe just do some kind of a campaign to emphasize that.
Are we sending the businesses letters as we see them posted?
We are calling them directly.
Because they only have a phone number.
A letter might help too, but that's one more time.
Yeah, and with spring, we will be out there. The problem is we want to do it in a safe manner. We're gonna be parking our vehicles, we're gonna be getting out, we're gonna be, going up and prying them off the telephone poles and
I saw
removing
one.
them.
Very high up, like they must have
Yeah,
had,
somebody has equipment.
yeah, like a tall ladder, like it was like up on one of the lights. I was like, how the heck did they get that up there?
I've spoken with Rob and the Village of Fayetteville to see if we could kind of work in conjunction. I know the Village of Fayetteville also removes their sign, so if we can all work together to do kind of a uniform cleanup, then it would be for the best of everybody's interest in those corridors where kind of we are with the villages. We can kind of work with their DPWs to remove the signs in a
Fire
efficient manner.
department. Ladder trucks. Yeah, I don't know, I don't even get the point, like, who, I mean, I guess I saw it up there, but I don't know, it seems a little strange.
So let's keep in touch as far as enforcement.
It was pressure, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll, as soon as now that it's kind of just started, we've seen them go up, but now that it's just started, we'll have the data to show. And we recorded last year, the people we called, because I didn't want to, rip their signs down, but fortunately, the way they put them up, there's no way. But I gave them the opportunity, I gave them 7 days to go and remove it themselves, so if they wanted to take it down in a manner that didn't ruin the sign, they had that opportunity to go do it before I took a more aggressive approach to removing it.
Yeah, Tom, thank you so much. This is an annual report, so I want to congratulate you on another year of steady, sensible, incremental improvements to our processes. It's really appreciated, and specifically with this sign discussion, because again, this is a frequent direct constituent request and complaint, and so having data to back up whatever our more aggressive next steps are going to be just makes sense. And thank you so much for putting a process in place so that we can do that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Oh, well.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the 2024 Planning and Development Annual Report as presented by Code Enforcement Officer Thomas Bridges.
A second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Hi.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much.
I'm not quite sure if I'm needed here for this next one, but I'll stand here for any questions that need to be asked with MS4. I know Joe kind of wrote the resolution and his review. I forwarded him everything and we followed up with.
So I'll just say something general, and then Tom, you want to fill in any gaps. So the resolution authorizes us to enter an agreement with the county to provide support with our MS4 reviews. There's an educational provision of this, piece of this that the county will assist us with. And then they'll also assist us with our general review of the MS4. Why don't you explain what the MS4 is? Because that's probably.
We're in the Stormwater Coalition. Our MS4 has 6 components to it, and that ensures that within the Onondaga Lake watershed, within our construction permit, we are doing what is required by the DEC within the coalition. It's not only myself, but we do outfall tracking. for any of our storm sewers. So there's a lot that goes into essentially ensuring that the water quality here in our area, when we are doing construction or moving forward with our existing infrastructure, is operating as it should be. And the education piece is one of the 6 items that the county takes care of for us, and that is the $3,600 for the coalition.
Yeah, and Tom, I'd like to weigh into, this is not a hypothetical benefit to the town of Manlius. In the early days of the Manlius Watershed Stewards, we actually were the recipient of both outreach, education materials, and personnel time from the CNY Stormwater Coalition staff. So we are beneficiaries. It's money well spent, because as we know, watersheds don't really comply with municipal boundaries. So it's something that we do have to share.
And I think the coalition is also an example of a good intermunicipal collaboration, because water does care that all of us work together on this project.
Isn't that through the CNY or PD?
Yes, it is. So we have an agreement with the CNY Regional Planning and Development Corporation and the county. Both, they work together on this with all the other towns and villages in town.
Any other questions?
I'm still not quite clear on the conflict of interest affidavit, Joe. Because it says, like, what services are we providing to the county?
The problem is, we're kind of putting the chicken before the egg. There's gonna be an agreement that we're gonna enter into with the county, and also the Stormwater Coalition. And anytime you enter an agreement with the county requires this conflict of interest form saying that none of you who are voting on this tonight will receive a kickback from what we're doing or any material benefit. There's no conflict between us and the county who we're contracting with here. The language is not precise at all in the conflict form, but that's the standard form that the county makes us submit. So.
Because, I mean, but we're not providing any services.
We're providing money. We're providing $3,600 to go under contract to have services performed. So if you want to approve it subject to legal review, and I can tighten it up a little bit, work with the county attorney's office, I'm happy to do that. It's just, this is their standard form that they require whenever.
We've had to focus out for the grant that we are working with the county on a number of other things where we have to just say, you know,
And we do a similar form ourselves.
Yeah. Same form as the Perry Springs study, you know, it's the same.
I understand the conflict of interest affidavit. I just wasn't understanding what services we're providing to the county that we need to sign.
The county
We're really not the contracted party here. I mean, they're
That's what I thought. I'm like,
providing the
shouldn't it-
service. So if you clean that up, it would make more sense. With essentially, if it just said, there's no conflict between the town and the county in entering into this. That's probably more accurately how it should read, but I know what they're trying to get at. I'm having us submit this, so I know I can say there's no conflict here between us and the county. So
Right.
I'm confident that there won't be an issue with us submitting a form saying that to the county.
We'll do the legal review.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
I think we're good with that.
So I'll make a motion to approve the resolution supporting participation in the CNY Stormwater Coalition Staff Services and Education Compliance Assistance Program, which, as Councilor Nicholson mentioned, the watershed stewards collaborate with that. So I'll make that motion.
Second.
all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
And I will make a motion to approve the supervisor to sign the conflict of interest affidavit with legal review with Onondaga County.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
And I'll make a motion to approve payment in the amount of $3,600 to CNY Regional Planning and Development Board for the annual membership and service fee for the Stormwater Assistance Program, which is normally called the Coalition, but it's apparently officially the Assistance Program.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. Can we give us a little update on scanning project?
All right, since back in September, you guys might remember you gave the clerk's office some money to start the scanning project with Avalon. We put a $40,000 retainer down. We're coming to the end of that $40,000, so I just wanted to give you guys an update as to what we've gotten so far from that. From Avalon, we've gotten just under 9,200 black and white scans for a total of just over $13,000. Color scans are just over 400. Black and white, the 11 by 17, which are the ledgers, we've gotten almost 90,000 of those, which is huge for us because those are hard for us to scan here at the office. And then color 11 by 17 and bigger, 789. So right now we have just over $5,000 still left on that retainer. Tom has found some money that he was able to kind of donate to the clerk's office, so to speak, to help continue with the scanning project. We talked to Avalon. Avalon said with an additional 5,000 and the 5,000 we have now, we should be able to get another 35 to 45 boxes scanned, which is huge.
Yeah.
Anytime you guys want to go down and see this room, we've got two whole now, two whole shelving units that are completely clear. You guys did give us the 43,000 for it, but we put 2,000 aside. Can't say enough about Lisa. She is a scanaholic. She is scanning documents like it's nobody's business. So we set $2,000 aside for shredding on that, just to make sure we could get them shredded and get everything kind of taken away. So I'm just asking to see if you guys can approve the invoice that Evelyn sent us for the extra $5,000 that Tom has in his budget, so we can kind of continue this process. I am working with New York State Archives on the grant. I have an application that I've started. It's due at the end of this month, but it won't be until the 2026 fiscal year. So, but I am in the process of trying to do that because there's still a ton down there that we would like to see scanned. But between Lisa and Avalon, the project is moving right along. I couldn't be any happier with
And
it.
I think from the planning point of view, you have a lot of the larger size that we can't scan ourselves anyway.
Absolutely, and a lot of older documents that we're looking to. And one of the things that this has allowed us to do is Jay and myself have an office now where instead of having meetings in the hallway, we're inviting people in. We have shelving that's coming in, we have a table, so I've had people come into our office, we're able to put things on our lab, our monitors to show them, work through it. We'll have the table with plans. All of this equates to getting these physical files out of our office, but a lot of them are very, I mean, the files that we scanned were 1940, 1950.
1920. So we've gotten a lot of people. Yeah, we're up to the 1990s for building permits that need to be scanned. So anything later than 1990 has been scanned. And some of that stuff, paper was like thinner than this paper.
Onion paper, probably, right?
Yeah,
Like tracing.
you just didn't want to touch it. I was afraid if I even breathed on it, it was
Carbon
going to
copies of
disintegrate.
things.
Yes,
You got
so.
the white gloves to touch it.
Yeah, right. So we have come a long way with getting everything digitalized. So yeah, that's where we stand with that
Thank you.
program.
Councilor Nashi?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, as you know, that we are thirsty for room and space around here. So I'm very thankful to the clerk's office for managing this, and especially to Lisa, because I have to imagine that I scan several things for work on a daily basis, and I cannot imagine standing there for hours, taking stuff out of boxes and scanning and scanning and scanning. So thank you very much to her for doing that. And we should know it is an integral process for the preservation of the documents of our town government. And I'm glad it's going good. And if there's no other comment, or if there is, I'd be happy to make a motion to support the request of the clerk.
Thank you. I would ask you to also say that in the process of scanning, they're also indexed, so we can find them again.
Yes, yes. Lisa does a phenomenal job of making sure everything she puts into just our Laserfiche is labeled, so it's easy to find. Avalon is doing a great job with labeling things when they send them to us. It's going a lot smoother than I think I anticipated, so I'm very pleased.
All right, I will second Mike's motion.
So just to clarify, the motion is to approve the supervisors on the invoice of Avalon for the retainer amount of 5,000. Councilor Nashi first, and Deputy Supervisor Bollinger second. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
And then, oh, yes. And I see we do have a visitor that we saw last time. Want to let you know, while we did do the public hearing at the top of the meeting, we did then vote and we created the sidewalk district. So we will be moving forward with that project. Just wanted to let you know. Thank you so much for coming.
Did you need to make a statement or are you okay? Thank you.
And then, next time on the agenda, we do have a budget, wait, you would like to make a statement?
If you want to speak, you can.
I think I said
Okay.
So I'll just ask Councilor Italiano to make the motion. This is the, a budget modification. It's, to accept money from NYSERDA.
Motion to approve the modification of $10,000 from CM3.
No, not from.
Two. I'm sorry. Oh, that's right. The wording was right.
No, from it.
No problem. Okay, budget modification of $10,000, CM3 4.3010 NYSERDA grant. CM3 5.6789.200 sustainable Manlius equipment.
John second, so I'm confused what that,
It's a modification and not a transfer.
then yes, I'll second.
So
To do a budget modification, you add money to the revenue side and to the expense side. So we're adding 10,000 to the grant and 10,000 to the expense. Sounds good. Okay.
To put it to its intended purpose.
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. And then, yeah, we just got some
Here's some announcements.
announcements.
The cancellation of the work session.
Yes, so we scheduled a work session at our last meeting. That one's going to be canceled as we're just working on finding a better time for the Board of Ethics to come in and have a conversation with us.
Yeah, thank you, John. I was going to address that when the minutes came up for approval because they're full of references to this. So the Board of Ethics will have an update following our March 17th meeting. We will have a date. We think it's very important that the entire board be present to have a meaningful work session. And so there are people who are going to be out of the country. So we're trying to lasso everybody into a good date in April that works. So we'll have that update after the 17th.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Great.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the supervisor's report for February 2025 as presented by the town controller. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of 2/12/25 as amended, that are, the amended version is attached to the agenda today.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from February 26th, 2025.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Also amended, by the way.
Motion passes. And then, let's see.
All right.
The abstract.
Okay, so my favorite part. So I'd like to make a motion to approve abstract number 5 in the amount of 500, it matches, $530,361.59. The winner is Salt.
Second?
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. And then,
So William, did you have, or Mike, did you have anything else you wanted to share?
No, I don't think so. Did we make a motion to accept the supervisor's report?
yes,
Okay, I have low audio, so I didn't notice. I didn't check that one.
so, seeing no other business,
I'll make some information to adjourn.
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, have a wonderful evening, everybody.
Thanks for
Night,
coming.
y'all.